Om Tyageshwaram Ramakrishnam Saradam Matrarupinim Vivekananda Mahacharyam Natva Vakshyami Shraddhaya Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacha Malam Sharirasya Cha Bhaishajena Yopa Karottam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi. In our last class we discussed a couple of qualities of Ishvara or characteristics of Ishvara as admitted by this yoga system. One is in Ishvara, the knowingness or all-knowingness reaches unsurpassability. That is, Ishvara is all-knowing, sarvagnatva. Niratishayam sarvagnatva bijam. So, there is no surpassability to Ishvara's knowingness. That's one, and sapurvesham api guruhu kalena anavachchedat. He is the guru of all the ancient ones because he is not limited by time. Now these two qualities, sarvagnatva and being the first guru, so to say, these have scriptural authority. We know these from scriptures as well. But Patanjali and Vyasa, they give here some logical reasons, a framework for that. The first one, why we accept Ishvara as Sarvajna, as all-knowing, is based on the logic that wherever there is gradation, we have to accept a stage where that gradation or that particular quality reaches an unsurpassable stage. Wherever there is gradation, there is a stage that is unsurpassable. In the world we find gradation. There is gradation in power, there is gradation in virtue, there is gradation in renunciation and all that. Some people have more power than less, some have more virtue than less. So this gradation has to reach a point where it becomes unsurpassable. A stage where the virtue of that being is unsurpassable, or the power of that being is unsurpassable. So also about knowledge. We find some have less knowledge, some have more knowledge. So there is gradation in knowledge in the world. So a point or a being has to be conceived where this knowledge will reach its culmination, will reach a stage that is unsurpassable. And that being is Ishvara. That is the yogic concept of Ishvara, where this knowingness has reached an unsurpassable stage. The knowledge has reached unsurpassable stage. Niratishayam sarvagnatva bijam. So this is the logic given. Because there is gradation, we have to admit a stage of culmination, so to say, and that is Ishvara when it comes to knowledge, according to these yogis. And bhaktas accept other virtues also. Just we discussed the beauty, you can say, or the power and all that. So these in Ishvara, these reach their culmination, an unsurpassable stage. So this is one sutra and one quality, one characteristic of Ishvara, that Ishvara is all-knowing. The second quality was, he is the guru of even the ancient gurus. So purvesham api guruhu. And the reason given is kalena anavachchedat, because Ishvara is not limited by time. This is also based on logic. Now, for that first we have to understand what Swami Vivekananda says. Every one of us has knowledge inherent in us, but for it to manifest, it needs to be called out by another person who has knowledge. The inherent knowledge has to be called out by another person who has knowledge, and that person who calls out the knowledge within us is called a guru. Without guru, knowledge cannot be manifested. That's why you find every person, the great sages and saints, every one of them having a guru who calls out the knowledge within them, so to say. Now whoever is avachinna or limited by time, it means whoever is born will have to have a guru, however that person, however great that person may be, will have to have a guru who will call out the knowledge within him or her. And again, that guru again will have a guru, because that guru is again limited by time. So this chain continues, and then where should it end? It should end in a being, in a principle which is not limited by time, and that principle is Ishvara. So because Ishvara is not limited by time, there is no guru for Ishvara, and then Ishvara becomes the guru of all other gurus. So that's how the fact is established that he is the guru of all, even the ancient gurus, because he is not limited by time. He is ever present. He is not born, so to say, in the way mortals are born. So these were the two qualities that we discussed in our last class. And we have to understand the whole idea of Ishvara came from that sutra, Ishvara Pranidhanat Va, and its results very quickly, so to say. So that was the sutra. We can reach Samadhi and its results very quickly by Pranidhana or Bhakti Vishesha of Ishvara. And then the Ishvara's qualities were described. Ishvara's characteristics were described. One is that he is untainted by bandha. There is no ignorance and its products called the drives. Ishvara had no connection in the past, present or future with any of these. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta. Then he is Sarvajna, he is the Guru of all Gurus, and of course he has the power to bestow grace on the yogis. These are the four qualities. So that's how the topic of Ishvara came up. The sutra had two words, Ishvara and Pranidhana. So Ishvara is explained. Now what is Pranidhana, that is to be explained. So that is what is done in next 2-3 sutras. Pranidhana is, as Vyasa says, Bhakti Vishesha, a special kind of devotion. Now, Patanjali himself is going to describe what is Pranidhana in next 2 sutras. So first sutra is Tasya Vachakaha Pranavaha. Tasya Vachakaha Pranavaha. And second sutra is Tajjapas Tadartha Bhavanam. Tajjapaha Tadartha Bhavanam. These are the 2 sutras which describe Pranidhana. Now, when you look at it, it's a meditation actually. Pranidhana is meditation. Patanjali is giving us an aid to meditate upon. So the first sutra is Tasya Vachakaha Pranavaha. Tasya is Ishvarasya. Tasya means Ishvarasya, of the Ishvara. Vachaka means signifier. And Pranava means Omkara. So Omkara is the signifier of Ishvara. That is the sutra. Or Ishvara's signifier is Omkara. That is the meaning of the sutra. There are 2 words, Vachya and Vachaka, signified and signifier. In simple terms, we can say the object and the name, in plain English, object and the name, in a way we can understand. Now, all our thoughts, now that's a peculiar theory, all our thoughts are couched in words. Without words, without names, we cannot think. So this relation between thought and word, or between object and word, object and name, is always there. And we can't think, transact without words. So here Patanjali is saying that you have to practice Pranidhana of Ishvara. Make use of his name, which is Omkar, Pranava, Omkar. So he is giving us a name of Ishvara called Omkar. And he says this will help you to meditate on Ishvara. Now it's Ishvara itself is a name. Why not Ishvara itself? Why not do japa of the name of Ishvara itself? Or there could be many other names. The same idea can be expressed, same object can be referred to by different names. So what is special about Omkar? That question comes. Now there is, this Omkara is the most sacred word in our Indian religion, in Indian spiritual traditions, Omkara. Om. Om is the most sacred word. From time immemorial, it has been coming down. There is an Upanishad which deals exclusively with this Om. How the three letters Om relate to the three states of our being called waking state, state of dreams and dreamless sleep, sushupti, and all that. So Omkara is a very celebrated and very sacred word in our Hindu religion. And Patanjali says this is the name of Ishvara. Patanjali says this is the name of Ishvara. They said there could be many names, but what is special about Omkara? And Swami Vivekananda gives an explanation as to why Omkara is the best signifier of Ishvara. There could be many signifiers of Ishvara, but Omkara is the best amongst them. And the explanation he gives is like this. As we discussed, every thought, every knowledge is couched in words. Words are made up of syllables and sounds kind of stuff. Now Ishvara is the repository of all knowledge. It's Sarvagnya. Ishvara is Sarvagnya, the repository of all knowledge. Every piece of knowledge has to be couched in some words, some sounds. So the best signifier for Ishvara, who is the repository of all knowledge, would be a word which is the repository of all other words, of all other sounds. Just as Ishvara is the repository of all knowledge, so also, if there is a word which is the repository of all the words, all the sounds, that would be the best signifier of Ishvara. That's what Swamiji says. Because Ishvara is the repository of all knowledge, if there is a word which is the repository of all other words, of all other sounds, that would be the best signifier, best suited to signify Ishvara. And Swamiji says such word exists, and that is Om. Om is the word which is the repository of all other words, of all other sounds. It is the root, or it contains all other words and sounds. And Swamiji explains how. He says we have this sound producing mechanism. We have sound producing mechanism, and Om is generally split into three letters, U and Ma. Ma is, I think, U, Ma. So Swamiji says the sound is produced from one end of the sound producing mechanism. From the root of the sound producing mechanism, we pronounce the word The letter Ma is pronounced from the other end of the sound producing mechanism by closing the lips. So is produced from one end of the sound producing mechanism, the letter Letter Ma is produced from the other end of the sound producing mechanism, and U is by rolling, so to say, from one end to the other. U is produced by rolling from one end to the other. So this Om, when properly pronounced, the whole sound producing mechanism is put to use. And as such, all other sounds which are produced out of this sound producing mechanism are involved in Om. Because Om uses the entire sound producing mechanism from beginning, middle to the end. Root, middle to the end. The entire sound producing mechanism is used in uttering Om. And as such, all other sounds are involved in Om. And all the words, by turn, get involved in Om. And hence, Om becomes the best signifier for Ishvara, which is the repository of all knowledge. That is how Om becomes the best Vachaka, signifier, or name of Ishvara, who is the Sarvajna. That is the first sutra. And of course there is another reason why we respect Om, that is because of its tradition. This is the most ancient word in the world that is used to represent God, to denote God. And it has been used by innumerable sages and seers to realize God. So it has gathered, so to say, the strength of all those rishis and their tapasya and all that. So that's how Om becomes a very potent symbol of God. This is about the Vachaka, Om. Vachya is the Ishvara. So he has given us this name of Ishvara, with the help of which we should practice pranidhana. And then he says, what is pranidhana? So he says, tajjapas tadartha bhavanam. Tajjapaha means tasya japaha, tasya pranavasya japaha. So repetition of this onkara and tad artha bhavanam. Bhavanam is meditation. Meditation on the meaning of onkara, which is Ishvara. So repeat tajjapa, repeat onkara, repeat Om, and simultaneously meditate on its meaning, which is Ishvara. This is the pranidhana as taught by Patanjali. Repetition of onkara and simultaneously trying to meditate on its meaning, which is Ishvara. In simple word, this is the process of pranidhana. What are we to achieve by that? By this pranidhana, Ishvara is going to be beneficially oriented towards us and bless us by his thinking, by his just abhidhyana, by his blessings, that let this yogi proceed in spiritual life speedily. So that Ishvara's grace we want. And for that, Patanjali says, this pranidhana is the means. Through that Ishvara's grace, we will advance speedily towards samadhi and its results. So that is the role of this pranidhana, repeating onkara and meditating on its meaning, which is Ishvara. One thing we have to understand in this Patanjali, nor is Ishvara, nor does Ishvara assume or incarnate and then will have any other form. So in a strict sense, this Ishvara of the yogis is saguna, it has the qualities, but nirakara, it doesn't have any form. So this meditation will be only on the qualities, so to say, of Ishvara. That Ishvara is Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta and all that. So while repeating Onkara, Patanjali says you have to think of those qualities of Ishvara. That is the yogic way. But of course, Bhakti and Vedanta, we, like those who are followers of Bhakti and Vedanta, they have a slightly modified version of the same practice. Many of us follow it in our life. When we approach Guru gives us mantra. Most of the times, Om is a part of that mantra, plus there will be few other words and maybe name of God and all that. So, but the idea remains the same. We repeat that mantra that we have received from Guru and meditate on its meaning, which is our Ishtadevata. So this idea is the same as expounded by Patanjali, Tajjapas tadartha bhavanam. We modified it. There it's only Onkara. Here we say we have our own mantra, which again is very potent seed, so to say. So we use that, we repeat that mantra and meditate on its meaning, which is our Ishtadevata. This is how we do, and this is how we are taught to do. And this is what Patanjali also has been telling by continuously repeating this. Vyasa gives one more hint or a tip, you can say, when he uses two words, Swadhyaya and Yoga. Swadhyayat yoga masita, yogat swadhyaya masate. Swadhyaya yoga sampatya paramatma prakashate. It says the word Swadhyaya here means repetition of the Omkara, or we can say our mantra. And yoga here means meditation. So he says Swadhyaya yoga masit. As you keep on repeating the name of the Lord or name of Omkara or your mantra, slowly the mind will get into a state of meditation. Swadhyayat, from Swadhyaya yoga masit. One enters the state of yoga, state of meditation. And when we find we are not able to meditate, yoga swadhyaya maste, you come down from meditation to the state of japa. So you start with japa, it will slowly glide into meditation. When you find it is difficult, you come back to japa. And swadhyaya yoga sampatya, with this wealth, so to say, of swadhyaya and yoga, japa and meditation, the self is revealed. So he gives us this one hint as to how these two can be combined in our spiritual life. Even Raja Maharaj, Brahmanandaji, he also says that as you keep on repeating name of the Lord, you will find that suddenly your mind has become concentrated, your japa has stopped, and your meditation has begun. So it is same idea what Vyasa Maharshi has explained. Raja Maharaj also has explained in one of his talks, where he says this. So with this idea, with this japa and meditation combined, Paramatma Prakash, that the self will be revealed. And of course, how? By the grace of the Ishvara. The grace of Ishvara is very much a part, because that is the reason for this pranidhana. Now, as Patanjali has put it and as Vyasa has explained it, this practice, it appears that we can undertake this practice only at certain times. When we, so to say, morning or evening, we have time to sit and free ourselves from all other occupations and devote time to japa and meditation. This can be practiced only at that time. But other commentator, one of the commentators, modern commentators, he takes this particular sutra and says that this particular practice of repeating the name of the Lord can be carried out and should be carried out throughout the day. It should be carried out throughout the day. You may not be able to free yourself from all occupations and devote exclusively to meditation and japa at all times of the day. That is not possible. But repeating this name of the Lord continuously in itself is a great spiritual practice. This is, so to say, this takes us back to a few classes where we talked of Smriti sadhana, the sadhana of remembrance. This is a great aid to Smriti sadhana, this repetition of the Lord's name. When we think of our present state of mind, it is chaotic. So chaotic is an understatement actually. It's chaotic. I mean, we are thinking of past, present, future, left, right, bottom, center. There is no rhyme and reason. There is no logic. There is no chain of reason in our thoughts. They just jump from one subject to other. But this, if we develop this practice of repeating name of the Lord continuously, it gives us, so to say, a foothold, just a foothold, into this vast realm of control of mind, the vast task, so to say, of controlling the mind. Because, see, if our mind is running amok throughout the day and we try to sit for meditation morning and evening, the result will be very limited. So unless we have prepared ourselves throughout the day, it is very difficult to meditate in morning and night. So that preparation comes through continuous repetition of God's name. So that is why this japa is very important. Anyway, Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.